मई की, यमुना मई की, देवी की, तुलसी महारानी की, संवेद गौर भक्तवृंद की. All glories to assembled devotees Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashtaprayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratvashe Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, quick revision from yesterday. Okay, Kardamani did tapasya for 10,000 years, then what happened?
Wife to fulfill his material desire, as well as instruction of Brahmaji was there. So Prabhupada mentions that he has material desire. So he desired that even after seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Okay, good. So then Kardamani offered prayers. So some points from the prayers of Kardamani.
He was actually denoting Supreme Lord that he knows he is the controller of everything, all the senses. So he knows his desire. And although he is telling himself that although I prayed for you, but my desire is, before that he tells that those who are for material desires, they are of less intelligent, but still also I have a desire that I want a wife. So yes.
Okay.
In very nice analogy was given that he's asking for a cow-like wife because he's like a bull whose nose is driven by the material desires.
Right. Okay, that's from Vishnu Thakur. Saying he's like cow. No, she's like cow and he's like bull. Okay.
We discussed about bhakti. Without bhakti, jnana karma cannot be performed.
Right. So karma and gyan require some bhakti for perfection.
one example in glorification of Lord, it tell Lord is like an umbrella, like drops of nectar fall from this the shelter.
Correct. Okay, so he's comparing Lord's lotus feet to umbrella and also
boat.
also boat, potam, to cross the ocean of material existence. Okay, so then Kardamani offered prayers, and then what the Lord said. Online?
I have already given this benediction to you, and day after tomorrow, you will get your bride.
So Lord told him what exactly is going to happen, who's going to come, who will be his wife, how many children, everything he told. Everything he told. And then finally he also told him that
I will also appear as your son.
yes, he will, yes, he himself will appear as Lord Kapila. And of course, he told Gardamani to continue his practice of devotional service, and at the end, he will attain perfection. Okay, fine. So now we'll proceed ahead.
Prabhuji, just a small thing, yesterday I could not ask that. Generally, whenever Lord appears, the parents do tapasya and they pray for the Lord or person like Lord. Here, Kardamuni never had such kind of desire that Lord should come as his son or something like that, but still Lord came.
So that was already his plan. So he didn't wait for Kardamani to ask something like that. So Lord already had made his plan.
Okay.
So therefore he said, I'm going to come.
Okay.
Who can stop him from coming if he wants to come?
That is true.
ठीक है 34 निरीक्षतस्तस्य ययावशेष सिद्धेश्वराभीष्टुत सिद्धमार्ग आकर्णयन् पत्ररथेन्द्र पक्षेर उच्चारितं स्तोममुदीर्न साम.
While the sage stood looking on, the Lord left by the pathway leading to Vaikuntha, a path extolled by all great liberated souls. The sage stood listening as the hymns forming the basis of the Sama Veda were vibrated by the flapping wings of the Lord's carrier, Garuda.
Okay, so Prabhupada writes in the Vedic literature, it is stated that the two wings of the transcendental bird Garuda, who carries the Lord everywhere, are two divisions of the Samaveda known as Brihat and Rathantara. So that is the hymns of the Samaveda are heard when Garuda flaps his wings. Okay, next paragraph. It's clearly stated here that the sage Kardam began to look to the path by which the Lord was being carried to Vaikuntha. It is thus confirmed that the Lord descends from his abode Vaikuntha in the spiritual sky and is carried by Garuda. The path which leads to Vaikuntha is not worshipped by the ordinary class of transcendentalists. Only those who are already liberated from material bondage can become devotees of the Lord. Those who are not liberated from material bondage cannot understand transcendental devotional service. Yathatham api siddhanam. So basically, real devotional service begins on the Brahmabhuta platform. Brahmabhuta Prasanatma Sama Sarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhaktim Labate Param. So when one comes to the liberated stage, that is a Brahmabhuta stage, then actual devotional service begins. That means devotional service on the platform of Bhava and Prema begins from that stage. Before that, it is all practice, apprentice. So that is what is being said over here. That only those who are already liberated from material bondage can become devotees of the Lord. So this is referring to Prema Bhaktas. And towards the end, Prabhupada writes, Kardam Muni was a liberated soul. So otherwise, how could he see the Supreme Lord? Kardamani was a liberated soul who saw the Supreme Lord in person, face to face. There was no doubt that he was liberated, and thus he could see Garuda carrying the Lord on the way to Vaikuntha and hear the flapping of his wings, vibrating the sound of Hare Krishna, the essence of the Samved. Okay, आगे पढ़ो.
Then, text 35. Then, after the departure of the Lord, the worshipful sage Kardama stayed on the bank of Bindu Sarovar, awaiting the time of which the Lord had spoken. Swayambhuva Manu, with his wife, mounted his chariot, which was decorated with golden ornaments. Placing his daughter on it with them, he began traveling all over the earth. O Vidura, they reached the hermitage of the sage, who had just completed his vows of austerity on the very day foretold by the Lord.
So exactly, the Lord had said, day after tomorrow. So exactly on that day, Swayambhu Manu came.
The holy lake Bindu Sarovar, flooded by the waters of the river Saraswati, was resorted to the hosts of eminent sages. Its holy water was not only auspicious, but as sweet as nectar. It was called Bindu Sarovara because drops of tears had fallen there from the eyes of the Lord, who was overwhelmed by extreme compassion for the sage who had sought his protection.
So now 7 verses are describing this hermitage of Kardamuni. So Prabhupada writes here, Kardam underwent austerities to gain the causeless mercy of the Lord. And when the Lord arrived there, he was so compassionate that in pleasure he shed tears, which became Bindu Sarovar. So Bindu Sarovar therefore is worshipped by great sages and learned scholars because according to the philosophy of the absolute truth, the Lord and the tears from his eyes are non-different. Just as drops of perspiration which fell from the toe of the Lord became the sacred Ganges, so teardrops from the transcendental eyes of the Lord became Bindu Sarovar. Both are transcendental entities and are worshipped by great sages and scholars. The water of Bindu Sarovar is described here as Shivamrita Jala. Shiva means curing. Anyone who drinks the water of Bindu Sarovar is cured of all material diseases. Similarly, anyone who takes his bath in the Ganges also is relieved of all material disease. These claims are accepted by great scholars and authorities and are still being acted upon even in this fallen age of Kali. So that is how the Bindu Sarovar was formed. Continue.
The shore of the lake was surrounded by clusters of pious trees and creepers, rich in fruits and flowers of all seasons, that afforded shelter to pious animals and birds, which uttered various cries. It was adorned by the beauty of groves of forest trees. The area resounded with the notes of overjoyed birds. Intoxicated bees wandered there. Intoxicated peacocks proudly danced, and merry cuckoos called one another. Lake Bindu Sarovara was adorned by flowering trees such as Kadamba, Champaka, Ashoka, Karanja, Bakula, Asana, Kunda, Mandara, Kutaja, and young mango trees. The air was filled with the pleasing notes of Karandava ducks, plovers, swans, ospreys, waterfalls, cranes, chakravakas, and chakoras.
Its shores abounded with deer, boars, porcupines, gavayas, elephants, baboons, lions, monkeys, mongooses, and musk deer. Entering that most sacred spot with his daughter and going near the sage, the first monarch, Swayambhuva Manu, saw the sage sitting in his hermitage, having just propitiated the sacred fire by pouring oblations into it. His body shone most brilliantly. Though he had engaged in austere penance for a long time, he was not emaciated, for the Lord has cast his affectionate sidelong glance upon him, and he had also heard the nectar flowing from the moon-like words of the Lord. The sage was tall, his eyes were large, like the petals of a lotus, and he had matted locks on his head. He was clad in rags. Swayambhuva Manu approached and saw him to be somewhat soiled, like a unpolished gem.
So this is the description of Kardamuni when Swayambhu Manu reached there. And okay, we'll read some important points from the purport. Here are some descriptions of a brahmachari yogi. So here everyone is brahmachari yogi, right? So Prabhupada is giving some good instructions for all brahmachari yogis. In the morning, the first duty of a brahmachari seeking spiritual elevation is huta hutashana, to offer sacrificial oblations to the Supreme Lord. Those engaged in brahmacharya cannot sleep until 7 or 9 o'clock in the morning. So Prabhupada comes to very practical details. You'll never find in any of the previous acharyas' commentaries, because they don't have to give such instructions for those people, for those days. Those days, no one would sleep till 7 and 8, 9 o'clock. But Prabhupada is writing purports for modern age people, modern age brahmacharis. So therefore, Prabhupada is writing all these details. They must rise early in the morning, at least 1.5 hours before sun rises, and offer oblations, or in this age, they must chant the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna. And then he's saying, Kalonasteva Nasteva. The brahmachari must rise early in the morning, and after placing himself, should chant the holy name of the Lord. From the very features of the sage, it appeared that he had undergone great austerities. That is a sign of one observing brahmacharya, the vow of celibacy. If one lives otherwise, it will be manifest in the lust visible in his face and body. The word vidyotamanam indicates that the brahmachari feature showed in his body. That is the certificate that one has undergone great austerity in yoga. A drunkard or a smoker or a sex monger can never be eligible to practice yoga. Generally, yogis look very skinny because of their not being comfortably situated. But Kardamuni was not emaciated. So there are two reasons why he was not emaciated. What? For he had seen the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. And that's one reason. There's one more reason. Here the word snigdha pangavalokanat means that he was fortunate enough to see the Supreme Lord face to face. He looked healthy because he had directly received the nectarian sound vibrations from the lotus lips of the Personality of God. So these are two reasons why he looked very healthy. What? One is, yes, he saw the Supreme Lord and the Supreme Lord glanced at him. And the second reason is, yes, he heard the spiritual sound vibration. So these are two reasons why he looked healthy, not emaciated. So just like we read in the 7th canto, the Avadut Brahman, whom Prahlad Maharaj met. So what he was doing? He was simply lying on the side of the road, Ajagar Vritti. Ajagar Vritti. But still, he was very healthy. So Prahlad was very surprised. Eh? You're not doing anything for your livelihood. Just whatever comes of his own accord you eat. But still you're so healthy. How? So who maintains? So Krishna maintains. So therefore, if one is in touch with the Supreme Lord maintains. So Srila Prabhupada also writes, in many purports, lectures also, Prabhupada says that the hippies, before they came to devotional service, they were looking very ugly, dirty. But after they came to devotional service and they shaved up and started chanting Hare Krishna, they appeared like, yes, Vaikuntha men. So that's what Prabhupada writes here. Similarly, one who hears the transcendental sound vibration of the holy name of the Lord Hare Krishna also improves in health. I don't know if all brahmacharis will agree with this. You don't agree? You agree? You have a lot of kripa, no? But of course, the Lord has his own reasons. If somebody's health is not so good. Anyway, for some time, maybe temporarily, the Lord has his own ways of purification. But in general, the statement holds true. We have actually seen, now Prabhupada is telling from his own experience, we have actually seen that many brahmacharis and grihasthas connected with the International Society for Krishna Consciousness have improved in health, and a luster has come to their faces. Prabhupada would very often quote this example of one Christian father or someone in Boston who asked him, how is it that your disciples are so bright-faced? So Srila Prabhupada would say, but they're from your country only. But then that's the result of practicing devotional service, chanting Hare Krishna. It is essential that a brahmachari engaged in spiritual advancement look very healthy and lustrous. Prabhupada is giving instruction, it is essential. It is essential that a brahmachari engaged in spiritual advancement look very healthy and lustrous. Of course, Srila Prabhupada, he was glowing. People were attracted just by seeing him. Just by seeing the glow on his face, people were attracted. The comparison of the sage to an unpolished gem is very appropriate. Even if a gem just taken from a mine looks unpolished, the luster of the gem cannot be stopped. Similarly, although Kardama was not properly dressed and his body was not properly cleansed, his overall appearance was gem-like. So, Krishna gives everything, whatever is required. Yoga Kshema Vahami. So, whatever is required, Krishna provides. Okay, next.
Seeing that monarch had come to his hermitage, and he was bowing before him, the sage greeted him with benediction and received him with due honor.
So Swayambhu Manu came and he was bowing down, pranatam, pranatam. So Swayambhu Manu was bowing because Kardamuni is a great sage. He's a Kshatriya. So he was offering his respects. And Kardamuni also, he also received him appropriately because he's king. Anurupaya, befitting the king's position. He also greeted him. Okay, next.
After receiving the sage attention, the king sat down and was silent. Recalling the instruction of the Lord, Kardama then spoke to kings as follows, delighting him with his sweet accents.
Okay, so now Kardamuni speaks to Swayambhu Manu. Kardamuni is speaking to Swayambhu Manu. And so these are again some very instructive verses which Kardamuni is speaking to Swayambhu Manu. So let's recite these verses. Text 50. Nunam chakramanam deva satam samrakshanayate vadhaya chasatam yastvam hare shaktirhi palini.
The tour you have undertaken, O Lord, is surely intended to protect the virtuous and kill the demons, since you embody the protecting energy of Sri Hari.
Okay, so same functions or same duties for which the Lord descends. Lord descends for what? Paritrana sadhunam, vinashaya dushkritam. So the king is also representative of the Supreme. So therefore, the king also performs the same activities. Here two terms are clearly mentioned. Vadhaya, for the purpose of killing, and asatam, those who are undesirable. Asat, sat, asat. So vadhaya, vad karna, to kill. Kill whom? Those who are asat. The protecting energy of the king is supposed to be the energy of the Supreme Lord. Prabhupada is quoting the same verse, Paritrana Asat. So that is the energy of the Supreme Lord. So the Lord empowers the kings with this energy of protection. Okay, 51. Read. Yours.
Vayu, the wind god, Yama, the god of punishment, Dharma, the god of piety, and Varuna, the god of presiding over the water. All obeisances to you, who are none other than Lord Vishnu.
Okay, so the king is representative of the Supreme Lord, Vishnu. And so therefore, all the various devatas, they are also part of the king, or he is performing the functions of these different devatas also. Purport. Since the sage Kardama was a Brahmana and Swayambhu Manu was a Kshatriya, the sage was not supposed to offer obeisances to the king because socially his position was greater than the king's. But he offered his obeisances to Swayambhu Manu because as Manu, king and emperor, he was the representative of the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord is always worshipable regardless of whether one is a Brahmana, a Kshatriya, or a Shudra. As a representative of the Supreme Lord, the king deserved respectful obeisances from everyone. So in this connection, Srila Prabhupada did mention a few times, he gave the example of Sanatana Goswami. So Sanatana Goswami, after they met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then they were planning to give up their government service. And so Sanatana Goswami, what he was doing? Yes, he took leave and did what? Yes, he was hearing Srimad Bhagavatam amongst various brahmanas. And the king was very disturbed. What happened to my home minister? He's not coming back. So one day the king, Nawab Hussain Shah, so he thought, let me go and see myself. What is Sanatan doing? And so he saw that Sanatan is not sick. So sometimes devotees do this, no, sick leave, for going on yatra or some other spiritual activity. So Sanatana Goswami also did the same thing. So king was surprised, hey, what's happening here? You're not sick, you're studying Bhagavatam? Come back. So what Sanatana Goswami said? He said, sorry, sir. Enough. I cannot come back to my governmental service. So then king got very angry. And what the king said? I'll punish you. And what Sanatana Goswami said? So Sanatana Goswami said, you are Naradev. You are representative of the Supreme Lord. So whatever you decide to do, you can do. So Srila Prabhupada quotes this in quite a few places to show that how even Sanatana Goswami accepted, even this Muslim king, he accepted him as representative of the Supreme Lord. He accepted because that's reality. So whoever is in that ruling position, one should accept as the representative of the Supreme Lord and give that honor and respect. And if that applies even to a Muslim king, then what to speak of spiritual authorities? So sometimes the devotees complain, oh, we don't have faith in our authorities. No, but one has to see that person as a representative of the Supreme Lord, because he has been given that service. So whether one likes or not, one has to accept and one has to give that respect. So Sanatana Goswami was giving respect even to the Muslim king. So here also we find, even though Karda Muni was a Brahmana, but still what he is doing? He is offering respects to Swayambhu Manu, even though he is a Kshatriya, because he is king. So here, the Bhagavatam also teaches us culture, not only philosophy. As Srila Prabhupada has written right in the preface to the Srimad Bhagavatam, very important statement. What? Yes, Srimad Bhagavatam is a cultural presentation for the re-spiritualization of the entire human society. It is a cultural presentation. So it's not just a philosophical presentation, but throughout the Bhagavatam we see So throughout the Bhagavatam we see that there is a culture that is presented by these great personalities within the Bhagavatam. And that culture is also very important for us to learn and imbibe. So what is the importance of this culture in a practice of devotional service? What is the importance?
Culture is like a vessel in which we can carry substance. Substance of Krishna consciousness.
Okay, good point. Please give some purport to your statement.
So, for example, I have respect for seniors, but I don't bow down to them. Then how they can understand? Means, of course, they don't demand what that is expressed through our bowing down.
Okay, good point. Okay, something else? What is the importance of culture? Online. Okay, first of all, define culture.
Truji, one point, Srila Prabhupada mentioned that...
Wait. Define culture first.
Set of rules followed by communities for achieving a particular goal in mind. Set of rules and lifestyle followed by particular community to orient themselves to achieve a particular goal in life. It might be any goal.
Okay, that looks like a Google definition.
No, I didn't Google.
Okay, but that's correct. So yes, culture is a set of practices, basically. A set of practices of a community or a set of people. So yes, so culture is a set of practices which develop over time. So somebody starts a certain practice and then that continues over time. Just like even in ISKCON, there is a certain culture that has developed. Of course, started by Srila Prabhupada, and certain culture has developed. So basically it's a set of practices. Behavioral patterns, how people behave. How people speak, how people address each other, how people eat. So all these form a part of culture of a particular community. So we find in India, practically every state has a little bit different culture, correct? And what to speak of different countries. In different countries, different cultures. So, okay, so within Krishna consciousness, what is the importance of this? Appropriate culture. That's what we were discussing. Okay, somebody was saying. Online, somebody was saying. No?
Hare Krishna, Guruji.
Yes.
Guruji, culture is the practical application of the theory.
Okay, so what's the importance?
So, the Vaishnava etiquettes, our culture, what we have learned, we have learned so many things. We are part and parcel of Krishna. We are subservient to the devotees. So that culture, that theory we have learned, that has become our culture, Krishna conscious culture. So if the culture is not right, it means there is a problem in our theory itself.
So you're saying if the culture is not right, that means people have not understood the theory, the philosophy.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Something else?
Means in Srimad Bhagavatam only we had discussed that it's a culture of knowledge or hearing, where we sit near the speaker and hear Bhagavatam class.
Okay.
So means that culture you had you had discussed that nobody is sitting in front of the Bhagavatam speaker and everybody is sitting behind. So that culture means we only start and then it is.
Okay, that's an example. But what's the importance of the culture? Importance means what are the benefits of practicing and what are the consequences of not practicing?
Srila Prabhupada said that we'll take over the world by cultural revolution of Krishna consciousness. So for outside people for preaching, culture will become an important factor for inspiring them. And inside, it is important to save ourselves from mainly Vaishnava aparadh and also ways and means to please our seniors and Lord.
Okay, good points. Okay, fine. So if you have the right behavior, right practices that inspires other people to take to devotional service, and also it helps us to please the Supreme Lord, please other Vaishnavas, and thus make spiritual progress and avoid.
Vaishnava aparadh.
Yes, good points. Something else? What did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu say about observing Vaishnava etiquette?
Ornaments.
What's that?
Vaishnava etiquette is ornaments of a devotee.
Yes.
Vaishnava etiquettes.
Yes. So Sadachar is abhushan. So it is the abhushan of a Vaishnav. So if Vaishnav doesn't behave properly, people will say, what? And this fellow is putting tilak and kantimala, but no good behavior. What is the use? So yes, so the real decoration is the behavior. So therefore, the Bhagavatam is teaching the culture. So even these great personalities, Karda Muni, Swayambhu Manu, so elevated in consciousness, so much of power, but still they're following the etiquette. Still they're following. So if Karda Muni would not have paid obeisances to Swayambhu Manu, would Swayambhu Manu get angry? No. Because anyways, he is Brahmana, he is Kshatriya. So he's not supposed to offer obeisances, or it's not required. But still, maintaining the etiquette. So anyway, it just reminded me of one incident, which is known as Bhakti Vinod Maharaj. You know Bhakti Vinod Maharaj? So in one Bhagavatam class, he was telling, when I went there. So he was telling that, so one somewhere, so he met his Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, and so Bhaktivinoda Maharaj offered obeisances, and Radhanath Maharaj also offered obeisances. And so Bhaktivinoda Maharaj said, no need, Maharaj, no need. So then Radhanath Maharaj said, so then there is no need to chant also. You understood the point? No? So Bhaktivinoda Maharaj was saying that I was thinking about that for a long time. And what did you understand from that?
Sujit, this habit will become so casual, and one day we'll stop chanting also. It is also not required. So slowly, slowly it will grow from this one small action. It's not small, but just by this action, other actions will also stop. Then 4 legs will stop and chanting will also stop one day. It's a tendency of mind.
Okay, yes, that's correct. So today I may say, well, no need of offering obeisances. Then tomorrow what I will say? No need of chanting also. That's how it happens, right? So we start diluting one thing, then slowly it spreads to other things also. Huh? He's saying entering like needle. Come on. So but that's how these habits start. So this is how the mind begins to justify. So today the mind will say, no need to offer obeisance, it's okay. And then tomorrow the mind will say, oh, you senior devotee, no need to go for Manglarati. Who will say anything? Then what the mind will say? Oh, no need to go for Bhagavatam class. You're senior devotee, you only give classes, you don't hear. And then after some time, oh, you have chanted for so many years, now it's okay. This is how one thing leads to the other. Huh?
After that, he recovered. Then he was in petrol bank. He told, I have chanted.
Oh, that's right. But then that's exactly what happened to Bharat Maharaj, no? That's exactly what happened. So I was saying this time when I was in Juhu. So there was his Honor's Kavichandra Maharaj and his Honor's Ananta Krishna Goswami Maharaj. So I was quite amazed by the dealings. So Kavichandra Maharaj, every day he would come and he would chant with the devotees. Every day. And Ananta Goswami Maharaj, so before he would begin his chanting, as a principle, he would come first offer obeisances to Kavichandra Maharaj. Kavichandra Maharaj would offer obeisances back, and then he would go and chant. I was quite amazed. Every day, I saw for 4-5 days I saw. And Kavichandra Maharaj also. He would offer obeisances back. And both the sannyasis, every day, morning program, chanting, Bhagavatam, every day, without fail. So I was very happy. Such a nice example they're setting. So you have to learn. This is culture. So it's very easy, at least when one becomes senior, it's very easy to justify and say, oh, who's going to say anything? It's all right. Well, nobody may say anything, but then what does it lead to? What does it lead to? Not exactly deviation. Yes, bad example. It sets a bad example, a bad precedent. Then others down the line, what they will think. We can do the same thing. Right? When seniors don't follow, what the juniors will say? Well, we'll also do the same thing. So, so in one Bhakti Vaibhav class, we were discussing these points. So one devotee, of course, he didn't ask in public, but later on he asked. So he said, but sometimes we find speakers of the Bhagavatam class not up to the mark. So then I think it is better to sit in the room and hear my Prabhupada's class or some other class which is more inspiring. What do you think? That's good? Why not? No, sit in the room and hear Bhagavatam only, which is more inspiring to me, which I like. I like the speaker. So yes. Just imagine if everyone thinks like that. If everyone thinks I will sit in my room and I'll hear my favorite speaker, then what will happen? Huh? No one in Bhagavatam class. And then after some days, somebody may say, oh, nobody's coming from Bhagavatam class. Cancel it. This is how deviations begin. And therefore, I did quote this before, I suppose, sometime. So you can go, even today you can go to Mayapur and see. So just like I was telling Kavichandra Maharaj, every day, whoever is giving class, doesn't matter. So almost everyone who's giving class is junior to them. But still they're coming. Similarly in Mayapur, every day His Grace Janarmas Prabhu, you'll see, every day in class, unless he has some service. So somebody asked him, so why you're coming every day? Some junior person is giving. You know what's the answer? Yes. Very simple answer. It's Prabhupada's instruction. That's all. That is called faith. That's called faith in the Acharya's instruction, faith in the Guru's instruction. One can say, I have faith, but how much faith one has is reflected in the actions. Anyone can say, I have faith. So the faith is shown. Yes, Prabhupada told, we have to attend Bhagavatam class, finished. Then it doesn't matter who's giving, who's not giving, doesn't matter. Well, I have to be there. So then it creates that culture. It creates that culture. Then everyone feels inspired to come. So this applies to all the various cultural practices. Just like addressing each other as Prabhu, offering obeisances. So the way we deal with each other, speak with each other, all this is part of the culture. So if we have casual dealings, calling each other by some nicknames and things like that, then what will happen? What will happen? Yes. Why? Huh? Yes, lose respects. Casual dealings, one will lose respect for each other. And when one loses respect, what's next? Offenses. So therefore, here we see, not only here, throughout the Bhagavatam we have been seeing, right in the first canto. First canto, what was the first pastime? What is the first pastime in the first canto?
Narad Vyas Samvad.
Yes, Narad Vyas. Of course, before that, first canto, Baba, where Parikshit Maharaj. What is the first pastime in the first chapter?
Questions of the Rishi. Shaunakadi Rishi.
Shaunakadi Rishi and Sutta Goswami. You see how the sages, they offer respect to Sutta Goswami, they give him a seat, they respect him, they glorify him. And then they ask questions, and when they ask questions, Sutta Goswami, what does he do? Yes, he glorifies their questions. He glorifies that you have asked appropriate questions. And then we see Narada and Vyasadeva. So even though Narad Muni is Guru, of course, Vyasadeva, he welcomes Narad Muni, all that is there. But then even Narad Muni, how he addresses Vyasadeva? Narad Muni addresses Vyasadeva as Prabhu. Guru is addressing disciple as Prabhu. So you find throughout the Bhagavatam there is a culture. And so therefore, along with the philosophy of the Bhagavatam, we have to learn the culture. Otherwise, it will simply become dry philosophy. Dry philosophy will be useless. It will not yield the desired results, because when there are no etiquettes, no proper behavior, then offenses, then what's the use of philosophy? So here we see these dealings. Otherwise, we see what happened to Indra and Brihaspati. So he became a little over familiar. Oh, this Brihaspati keeps coming here. So he failed to offer respect, finished. Everything finished. So, therefore, the observance of proper etiquettes is very important. Again, you have studied already, right? In the initial part of the third canto. The principle of Maryada Vyatikrama. You have studied, right? So, Uddhav? Yes. Uddhav sends Vidura to Maitreya Rishi. So, Maryada Vyatikrama. So, all these are very important principles to learn from the Bhagavatam. And here also we find how Swayambhu Manu and Karda Muni are observing the proper etiquettes. And so that keeps the respectful dealings, respectful perceptions, then this will save one from bad behavior and offenses. Okay, wait, where's the purport? Okay, we went through the purport, right? 51? Okay, go ahead. 52 to 54.
If you did not mount your victorious jeweled chariot, whose mere presence threatened culprits, if you did not produce fierce sounds by twangling of your bow, And if you did not roam about the world like the brilliant sun, leading a huge army whose trampling feet caused the globe of the earth to tremble, then all the moral laws governing the varnas and ashramas created by the Lord Himself would be broken by the rogues and rascals.
So here, what is Karda Muni now doing? Yes, he's glorifying Swayambhu Manu for his duties of protection. And he's saying, if you didn't mount your chariot, you didn't give protection from all the rogues and culprits by your huge army and everything, then all the moral laws governing varnas and ashramas, which is created by the Lord Himself, would be broken. So the purport Prabhupada writes, it's the duty of a responsible king to protect the social and spiritual orders in human society. That is the varnashram system. So human society means that society which is making progress towards spiritual realization, Aryan society. Further on, Prabhupada says, the Indian civilization on the base of the four varnas and ashramas deteriorated because of her dependency on foreigners or those who did not follow the civilization of varnashram. So who created varnashram? Yes, which was? Chaturvanyam maya shrishtam gunakarma vibhagasha. Okay, towards the end of the purport, Prabhupada quotes that in the last paragraph. And then he writes, the divisions of varnas and ashramas will continue to exist either in their original form or in a degraded form. But because they are created by the Lord, the Supreme Personality of God, they cannot be extinguished. They are like the sun, a creation of God, and therefore will remain. Either covered by clouds or in a clear sky, the sun will continue to exist. Similarly, when the varnashram system becomes degraded, it appears as a hereditary caste system. But in every society, there's an intelligent class of men, a martial class, mercantile class, laborer class. When they are regulated for cooperation among communities according to the Vedic principles, then there is peace and spiritual advancement. But when there's hatred and malpractice and mutual mistrust in the caste system, the whole system becomes degraded, and as stated herein, it creates a deplorable state. At the present moment, the entire world is in this deplorable condition because of giving rights to so many interests. This is due to the degradation of the four castes of varnas and ashramas. Okay, so these four classes will always remain. You go to any society, will always find some intelligent class, some administrative class, some business class, some worker class. Anywhere you go, you'll find, right? You cannot extinguish the system. You have to have it everywhere. Okay? You can't be without it. These different classes are going to exist because it is whose creation? Yes, because in Lord's creation, they will be there, whether they are properly assigned those roles or not. But what do we find in the present state? There is no cooperation amongst them. That's the problem. So each one wants to be on the top. So that is what we find, right? Those who are laborers, they're always fighting for their rights, for better wages. And those who are capitalists, the business people, they are trying to exploit. So therefore, there's a lot of non-cooperation. But when there's cooperation, just like the different parts of the body, when they are nicely cooperating, the entire body functions properly. Okay. So therefore, he is glorifying. So the degradation of this entire varnashram system began with whom? Yes. Shringi cursing. So Shringi, being a Brahmana, he became proud. And he began to criticize Maharaj Parikshit. And what do these Kshatriyas think of themselves? So he uses some words, right? They're supposed to be like watchdogs or something like that, he says. So basically, he shows so much of disrespectful behavior towards the Kshatriyas. Then the whole degradation begins. So loss of respect, loss of mutual respect. When the respect is lost, loss of cooperation, and then when there's no cooperation, then the whole thing degrades. And so that same principle is very important even in our spiritual society. Very important to have that mutual respect and cooperation. Otherwise, the same thing will happen. Everything will crumble. So if those who are administrators, managers, if they are in a sort of exploitative mode to exploit the other devotees, and if the other devotees think that, oh, these managers, they're useless, they're insensitive, so when such sort of feelings and disrespect takes place, then there's no cooperation, then what happens? The entire society suffers because of non-cooperation. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada told towards his final days what? That one statement is driving the society. Yes. You can show your love for me by how you cooperate. Now, because Srila Prabhupada made that one statement, so a lot of things are going on. Otherwise, we don't know, it would have become like Gaudiya Math. Already there are problems, but at least because of that statement Prabhupada made, people are somewhat at least tolerating each other. So, but it's very important to have that mutual respect and cooperation. Okay, at least as an austerity, we have to do it so that the entire society can function smoothly. Okay, go ahead. Text 55. Adharmascha samedheta loluper vyankusher nribi shayane tvayi lokoyam dasyugrasto vinangshati.
If you give up all thought of the world's situation, unrighteousness would flourish. For men who hanker only after money would be unopposed. Such miscreants would attack and the world would perish.
Okay, so Kardamuni is describing what would happen if the king would not do his duties properly. So if the king would not do his duties properly, then what would happen? There would be adharma. Adharmascha samedeta. Adharma would flourish. And then those who are lolupei, those who are greedy for money, they would be uncontrolled, then they'll exploit others, and that is how everything will perish. Vinangshati. Okay, again, Prabhupada is explaining how it's a very scientific system, the Varnashram system, and so therefore that needs to be maintained. Okay, now those who are online can read the translations. 56. Adapi priche tvam vira yadartam tvam mihagatah tadvayam nirvyalikena pratipadyamahed hrida.
In spite of all this, I ask you, O valiant king, the purpose for which you have come here. Whatever it may be, we shall carry it out without reservation.
Okay. So after glorifying Swayambhu Manu, so then he is saying, so I ask you, O king, the purpose for which you have come here. Whatever it may be, we shall carry it out without reservation. So Kardamuni is ready to carry out the orders of the king. Purport. When a guest comes to a friend's house, it is understood that there is some special purpose. Kardamuni could understand that such a great king as Swayambhu, although traveling to inspect the condition of his kingdom, must have had some special purpose to come to his hermitage, and thus he prepared himself to fulfill the king's desire. nirvyalikena, without reservation. Okay, so Kardamuni is ready to follow the instructions of the king. Thus end the Bhakti purpose of the third canto, 21st chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Conversation Between Manu and Kardama. Okay, let's continue. Chapter 22, the marriage of Kardamuni and Devhuti. Okay, continue reading.
Sri Maitreya said, after describing the greatness of the emperor's manifold qualities and activities, the sage becomes silent, and the emperor, feeling modesty, addressed him as follows.
Okay, so now Swayambhu Manu is replying to Kardamuni. So now what Manu says? Manu Ruvacha Brahma Srijatsva Mukatho Yushman Atma Paripsaya Chando Mayastapo Vidya Yoga Yuktan Alampatan.
Manu replied, to expand himself in Vedic knowledge, Lord Brahma, the personified Veda, from his face created you, the Brahmanas, who are full of austerity, knowledge, and mystic power, and are averse to sense gratification.
So now what Swayambhu Manu is doing? Yes. Now he is glorifying Kardamuni for his Brahmanical qualities. So this is Vaishnava society. So there is that famous purport, 7th canto, 5th chapter, 12th verse. Where Srila Prabhupada is writing that how devotees must glorify each other. It's a very beautiful purport. You can read it. So it's the duty of devotees to appreciate each other, glorify each other. And so you 7, 5, 12. And so here also we find, and you find it again, a culture. You'll find it throughout the Bhagavatam. You find this culture. When two personalities meet, first of all, they glorify each other. So, very naturally. And it's not some superficial glorification simply to get favors. That's called flattery. No, not like that. It's a genuine glorification because of respect for the other person. So here Swayambhu Manu is glorifying Kardamuni, that how the Brahmanas, they're created from the face of Brahma. Of course, the Brahmanas are also said to be created from the face or the mouth of the Supreme Lord. And so the Brahmanas, the main speciality of the Brahmanas is what? Their qualities. And so in the Bhagavad Gita, what are the qualities of Brahmanas? Shamo, Damo, Tapa, Shaucham, Shantir, Arjavam, Jnana, Vijnana, Astikyam. Yes, so here also same qualities. Austerity, knowledge, mystic power, Tapo, Vidya, Yoga, Yuktan, Alampatan means not lampat, not sense gratifier. So these are the qualities of the Brahmanas. Okay, third verse. Tatranaya srujachasman do sahasrat sahasrapat hridayam tasya hi brahma kshatram angam prachakshate.
For the protection of the Brahmanas, the 1,000-legged Supreme Being created us, the Kshatriyas, from his 1,000 arms. Hence, the Brahmanas are said to be his heart and Kshatriya his arms.
Okay. So, commenting on the previous verse, Vishwanath Chakravarti says, fearing the sage would refuse his daughter in marriage, Manu first explained with reasoning the relationship between Brahmanas and Kshatriyas in 2.5 verses. Okay, so he's talking about the relationship between Brahmanas and Kshatriyas. So here he's saying, just like here he's saying that the Lord has created the Kshatriyas for what? For protecting the Brahmanas. So the Brahmanas are supposed to give knowledge to the Kshatriyas, and the Kshatriyas are supposed to protect the Brahmanas. So that's the mutual relationship between Brahmanas and the Kshatriyas. So therefore the Brahmanas are said to be heart. Hridayam tasya hi Brahma, Kshatram Angam, and the Kshatriyas are the arms. So this is the relationship between the Brahmanas and the Kshatriyas. As Prabhupada writes, Kshatriyas are specifically meant to maintain the Brahmanas, because if Brahmanas are protected, then the head of the civilization is protected. Brahmanas are supposed to be the head of the social body. If the head is clear and has not gone mad, then everything is in proper position. But now what is the current situation? No head. So therefore, as Prabhupada says, everything is topsy-turvy, ulta-sulta, topsy-turvy, because there's no head. So Srila Prabhupada says, sometimes you may find someone without one arm or without a leg, but do we ever find someone without a head and still walking around? But that is the current day situation. So therefore there is chaos, because there's no head. And so further down, Prabhupada says, Brahmanical culture and cow protection are the basic principles for human civilization. But unfortunately, both of them are missing now. Okay, text 4. Ato yanyonyam atmanam brahma kshatram cha rakshataha rakshati sma vyayo deva saya sad asat atmakaha.
That is why the Brahmanas and Kshatriyas protect each other as well as themselves, and the Lord Himself, who is both the cause and effect, is yet immutable, protects them through each other.
Right. So this is the Brahma Kshatram cha Rakshata. So they protect each other. So they protect each other and they protect themselves. And so ultimately the Lord protects both of them. Ultimately the Lord protects everyone. As Prabhupada writes, the entire social structure of Varna and Ashram is a cooperative system. It's a cooperative system meant to uplift all to the highest platform of spiritual realization. So therefore, that cooperation is very important. So how can we increase cooperation? What are some of the... Okay, you have a discussion and you come up with certain challenges and solutions to develop cooperation within our society. Some challenges and solutions. What are the challenges in maintaining cooperation in our society, spiritual society? Okay, you have a discussion for 5 minutes, 3, 4. Online you do individual. So what are the challenges and corresponding solutions for cooperation? You can have some cooperation, no? Come little close. So you write down your points. Okay, 1 minute more. Solution also. Okay, fine. Okay, let's hear some of your points. Somebody wants to write? Somebody wants to write? Solution तो बताते जाओ.
Challenges personal interest for post and position.
Okay, so personal interest. Personal interest and
Solution is following authority.
okay, so keeping aside. Yes. Okay, next. Okay, so that means actually the basic thing is one must learn to respect and
Respect others' opinions.
yes, respect others' opinions.
Yes.
So, so just like we were recently discussing here in the fourth canto, we have what respect is like. At the beginning of the fourth canto, in the section of Dhruva Maharaj. So when King Uttanapad was retiring to the forest, so before appointing Dhruva Maharaj, what he did? As the next king. So before appointing Dhruva Maharaj as the next king, before appointing Dhruva Maharaj as the next king, what Vaibhav Maharaj did? Three things he did. Right. So first of all, he consulted his ministers. Second, he also took public opinion. And third, self-examination. Three things he did before appointing next leader. So first of all, he consulted the ministers, took public opinion, and also personally examined the qualifications of Dhruva. Then he appointed Dhruva. So Srila Prabhupada writes, even though these kings, they were like autocrats, they had full authority to do whatever they liked. They were not forced to consult. But still, he consulted. So that means the king is respecting others' opinions. Okay, some other challenges? Huh? Okay, groupisms. Okay, groupism could be based on so many things. Groupism could be based on what? Okay, my temple, my department, your department, my guru, your guru. So many reasons for groupisms. Yes. So, solution? Yes, that's a good point. Yes, keeping Krishna, Srila Prabhupada in the center. You have some points? Okay. Okay, fine. So basically, yes, again, it's groupism. Okay, online. Online, any points?
Prabhuji, we should have regular trainings like we are having this Bhakti Vaibhav classes, reading Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita.
Okay, fine. So that's a good solution point for all the challenges is proper training. Yes, so proper training is important. Some other challenges?
So
Online?
this ego is so subtle and deep that even while practicing bhakti, we want it to do in our own way, not in cooperative way like others or taking into opinion of others.
Okay, fine. So basically, it's okay. My way is highway. So thinking that I'm the most intelligent person and only I know how to figure out things. So what's the solution?
Solution, Roji, is rather than thinking my way is highway, what will please Guru and Krishna more should be the highway.
What's that?
What will please Guru and Krishna should be the highway, and if my opinion matches with that, we can follow mine. Otherwise, anybody else's opinion is matching that, I'll follow that.
Okay, fine. So basically, taking into consideration pleasure of Guru and Krishna. Yes, taking into pleasure of Guru and Krishna. So rather than it's my way or your way, it does not matter. What is most important is Guru and Krishna should be pleased. So okay, so these are some important points. Anything else online?
Would you like maybe this point is covered, but the differences of opinions, thinking that my opinion is the best. And this is a challenge many times for anything we want to do in any project.
Yes.
So I was just thinking in the direction. So I heard one Maharaj class in which he was quoting Prithu Maharaj's example.
Correct.
That although he was doing what he was doing was the best thing, but still, just because Brahmaji said for cooperation he should not do, so he did not do the yajna, the 100th this. Although it will benefit the society also, still he did not do, just so that Indra will not become envious and pacified. So sometimes we need to compromise on the mission for sadachar and maintenance of the cooperation among the devotees around, not going in our own this spirit of increasing more and more.
Right. Yeah. So basically, taking into consideration the higher purpose, higher mission. So just like Brahma, he told Prithu Maharaj that if you continue the performance of this, you try to continue the performance of yajna, what will happen? Yes, Indra will introduce more and more apasampradayas, and that will cause so much of havoc in society. So therefore, for the benefit of the entire society, you stop. So yes, so one has to take into consideration the bigger picture and how the entire society will be affected. So yes, so these are some important points. So definitely in Kali Yuga, which is age of quarrel, big challenge, cooperation. So therefore, Prabhupada in this purpose again and again is mentioning how this cooperation among the various sections of the society is very important. So in any society, that sort of cooperation is very important. Thank you. Okay, fine. So we'll take a few minutes break and then continue. Hare Krishna. So you can see in the previous verse, third verse, the Brahmanas have been compared to what? Hridayam, heart. And the Kshatriyas to arms. So Vishwanath Chakravarti gives a nice explanation here. So he says, when someone, so explaining this analogy of the heart and the arms. So he says, when someone comes to attack the heart is seen to be protected by the arms. Correct? If somebody is coming to attack from the front, so then naturally what we try to do? We try to protect ourselves with the arms. And then he says, when the arms are attacked, one contracts the body and the arms are protected within the heart. So thus the protector of the heart is the arm and the protector of the arm is the heart. So that's how he's explaining this cooperation between the Brahmanas and the Kshatriyas. And then in the fourth verse he says, the Brahmana protects the Kshatriya by the strength of his austerity, and the Kshatriya protects the Brahmana by the strength of his body. So the Brahmana's power comes from austerity, and the Kshatriya, he has got bodily strength. Of course, who protects both of them? The Supreme Lord. So, but the important point is this point of, as we can see over here, so we see that how Kardamuni is appreciating Swayambhu Manu and Swayambhu Manu is appreciating Kardamuni. So this mutual appreciation and respect is something which is very important for that cooperation to exist. Otherwise, if each one thinks I am the most important and others are all useless, then there cannot be cooperation. So sometimes we find that. If the preachers think, oh, we are the most important, we are doing the preaching work, the frontline work, others are simply sitting and eating. So if the preachers think, oh, the pujaris, they stay in the temple throughout the day and eat Mahaprasad. And the pujaris think that these preachers, they don't do anything, simply roam around. And the fund collectors think that if we don't get the funds, who will do anything? Whole temple has to close down. So if these types of mentalities are there, then it's very difficult to have cooperation. So therefore, then everyone suffers. Prabhupada told the story quite a few times, right? About the different senses. What is that name of the story? No, Prabhupada gives a title to the story. What is that? Indriyanam, something.
Senses go on strike. Senses go on strike.
That is there. But Prabhupada gives a title to that story. I'm trying to recollect. But everyone knows the story, right? How all the various senses, oh, this useless stomach simply sitting and eating. So they went on strike. And then what happened? Then everyone suffered. So similarly, if the cooperation is not there, and each one thinks, no, I am superior, I am doing the most important service, others are all useless. So if these type of mentalities come in, then what will be the result? Yes, everyone suffers. Then everyone suffers. The entire mission suffers. The preaching becomes affected. Everything goes down. So therefore, a very important aspect is, again, aspect of culture that we can see here, mutual respect and appreciation for each other in the society. So when that is there, then there'll be good cooperation. And that's how the entire society can go on smoothly. Of course, in Vaishnava society, ideally, every Vaishnava thinks that, yes, he thinks I am servant of everyone else. And he thinks that everyone else is doing better service than me. Not that a Vaishnava, I'm doing the best service, I'm doing the most important service. No, that's not Vaishnava way of thinking. That's not proper attitude. So Vaishnava always feels that everyone else is doing much better service than me. So that proper attitude has to be cultivated. And of course, nobody said it over here, but then the proper attitudes can be cultivated when? Okay, child stage. But how the proper attitudes, the proper consciousness, how it can develop? Yes, hearing from right source by the proper purification process. How the purification is going to take place? Huh? How purification takes place? Yes, hearing and chanting the holy names attentively, hearing the Bhagavatam, this is the main purification. This is how the purification is going to take place. So therefore, if one does not have good sadhana practices, purification will not take place, and all the anarthas remain. And then because of the anarthas, there is superiority complex, there's pride. So just like Shringi, he was so proud of his powers. So this is what happens. So therefore, what is important is, as devotees, that one has to follow the proper purificatory process. Then one will develop the right qualities, the right attitudes. So therefore, all this is important. Okay. So Prabhupada goes on to write in this purport to text 4, the Lord is the real protector, but he is unattached to the affairs of protection. He creates Brahmanas for the protection of Kshatriyas and Kshatriyas for the protection of the Brahmanas. And he remains aloof from all these activities. Therefore, he is called Nirvikara, without activity. He has nothing to do. He is so great that he does not perform action personally, but his energies act. In the Bhagavad Gita also Krishna says what? 4th chapter. Namam karmani limpanti, namai karma phale spriha. Says, no, I don't do anything because I have no desires. So of course he does everything through his energies. The Brahmanas and Kshatriyas and anything that we see are different energies acting upon one another. Okay, next paragraph, Prabhupada is writing, the souls may be different, but the super soul is the same. Individually, oneself may differ from others in certain qualities and may engage in different activities such as those of Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya. But when there is complete cooperation, so Prabhupada is emphasizing this point of cooperation. When there's complete cooperation among different individual souls, the Supreme Personality of God is Super Soul, Paramatma being one, in every individual soul is pleased and gives them all protection. Okay, so when there's cooperation, what happens? The Supreme Lord is pleased. The Supreme Lord is pleased, then everyone gets protection. Okay, so in this context, good reference, you can read. So we're giving you many references, please go and read. So 4th canto, 30th chapter, text 8. So this is in context of the Prachetas, how the Prachetas performed austerities together in the ocean, and the Lord personally appeared and he was pleased because of their sauhardena, their friendship. And Prabhupada is giving a very nice purport also over there. So please read that. 438, 30. And therefore, towards the end of this paragraph, Prabhupada writes, if the members of different ashramas and varnas cooperate fully in Krishna consciousness, then society is well protected by the Lord without a doubt. Important statement. So talking about ashramas, sometimes these problems do happen. Brahmacharis think that grihasthas are useless, grihasthas think brahmacharis are useless. So sometimes these conflicts take place. So all this is wrong attitudes, wrong attitude. So the mutual respect has to be there. So when there's mutual respect and cooperation, then what will happen? The Supreme Lord will be pleased, as you'll see in the case of the Prachetas. The Lord is pleased because of cooperation. And then everyone gets the benefit. Then everyone gets the benefit. Next paragraph, Prabhupada is talking about the 13th chapter, Kshetra, Kshetrajna. How the Lord is the supreme proprietor, therefore he does not become divided by protecting the different individual souls. He remains one and the same. And then he's given the example of the sun. One sun, but everyone thinks the sun is on the head, but actually there's only one. Similarly, the super soul is only one. Okay, 5th verse. Tava sandarshanadeva chinna me sarva samshaya yat swayam bhagavan pritya dharmam ahari rakshisho. Okay, so online, I think so somebody was reading, isn't it?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Now you have read enough.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Now I have resolved all my doubts simply by meeting you, for your lordship has very kindly and clearly explained the duty of a king who desires to protect his subjects.
So now again you can see Swayambhu Manu is so grateful to Karda Muni, because initially Karda Muni told the duties of the king, in brief of course, but still Swayambhu Manu is appreciating that Chinname Sarva Samshaya, you have destroyed all my doubts by your good instructions. And you have told me the Yat Swayam Bhagavan Pritya Dharmam Ahari Rakshisho. So you have told me my dharma as a king, how to protect the citizens. Purport. Manu described here with the result of seeing a great saintly person. Now, this is an important purport. Lord Chaitanya says that one should always try to associate with saintly persons, because if one establishes a proper association with a saintly person, even for a moment, one attains all perfection. Verse? Sadhu sang, sarva shastra koi, lavamatra sadhu sang, sarva siddhi hoy. Somehow or other, if one meets a saintly person and achieves his favor, not only just meeting, but also what? Achieving his favor, achieving his blessings, then what will happen? Then the entire mission of one's human life is fulfilled. And he's giving his own example. In our personal experience, we have actual proof of the statement of Manu. Once we had the opportunity to meet Vishnupad Sri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, and on first sight, he requested this humble self to preach his message in the Western countries. There was no preparation for this, but somehow or other he desired it, and by his grace, we are now engaged in executing his order, which has given us a transcendental occupation and has saved and liberated us from the occupation of material activities. Thus, it is actually a fact that if one meets a saintly person completely engaged in transcendental duties and achieves his favor, see, twice Prabhupada is writing what? What? Achieves his favor. That means pleasing him and acquiring his blessings. Then one's life mission becomes complete. What is not possible, please note this, what is not possible to achieve in thousands of lives can be achieved in one moment if there's an opportunity to meet a saintly person. It is therefore enjoined in Vedic literature that one should always try to associate with saintly persons and try to disassociate oneself from the common man, because by one word of a saintly person, one can be liberated from material entanglement. A saintly person has the power, because of his spiritual advancement, to give immediate liberation to the conditioned soul. Here Manu admits that all his doubts are now over, because Kardama has very kindly described the different duties of individual souls. Okay, the same theme continues in the next verse and purport also. So we'll go to the next verse. So these are, Prabhupada gives special purpose. His personal realizations, you can see. Sixth, Dishtya me Bhagavan Drishto Durdarsho Yo Kritatmanam Dishtya Padarajas Prishtam Shirshnya me Bhavatas Shivam.
It is my good fortune that I have been able to see you, for you cannot easily be seen by persons who have not subdued the mind or controlled the senses. I am all the more fortunate to have touched with my head the blessed dust of your feet.
Yes, so Swami Manu is expressing his good fortune, dishtya. So this word dishtya comes twice in this verse. You can see dishtya. Dishtya means by good fortune. Dishtya me Bhagavan drishto. So by good fortune, I have drishti. By dishtya, I had drishti. That means, yes, the vision to see great personality, Bhagavan. So he's addressing Kardamuni as Bhagavan. It was very powerful. But this darshan is what? Dur darsha. Not very easy to get this darshan of such exalted saintly persons. Unless one is akrita atmanam. Unless one has controlled mind and senses. But he says, it's my good fortune. So not only I have seen you, but also padarajas prishtam. I've also touched the lotus feet. I've got the dust of your lotus feet. I not only saw, but got the dust of your lotus feet. I've touched my head. Shirshna, Sprishta, Padaraja. And this is Shivam, all auspicious. Purport. The perfection of transcendental life can be achieved simply by touching the holy dust of the lotus feet of a holy man. In the Bhagavatam, it is said, Mahat Pada Rajo Bhishekam, which means to be blessed by the holy dust of the lotus feet of a Mahat, a great devotee. So we know the famous verse, Mahat Sevam Dwaram, Ahur Vimuktes Tamo Dwaram, Yoshitam Sangi Sangam. So the doors to liberation are open by association of great saintly persons. So then Prabhupada is saying, who is Mahatma? Mahatmanastamam Partha, Devim Prakritam Ashrita. So therefore they are called Mahat. Unless one is fortunate enough to have the dust of the lotus feet of a Mahatma on one's head, there is no possibility of perfection in spiritual life. Okay? So the parampara system of disciplic succession is very important as a means of spiritual success. One becomes a Mahat by the grace of his Mahat spiritual master. If one takes shelter of the lotus feet of a great soul, there is every possibility of one's also becoming a great soul. So Srila Prabhupada writes in that same purport, Mahatmanas tumam partha devim prakrit mashrita. So in that purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, how to become Mahatma? Yes, by following another Mahatma. Same point he's writing here also. One becomes a Mahat by the grace of his Mahat spiritual master. So anyone can become Mahatma by following another Mahatma. That is the process. So if one takes shelter of the lotus feet of a great soul, there's every possibility of one's becoming a great soul. When Maharaj Raghunath asked Jad Bharat about his wonderful achievement of spiritual success, he replied to the king that spiritual success is not possible simply by following the rituals of religion or simply by converting oneself into sannyasi or offering sacrifice, recommend scriptures. These methods are undoubtedly helpful for spiritual realization, but the real effect is brought about by the grace of a Mahatma. In Vishwanath Thakur's 8 stanzas of prayer to spiritual masters clearly said, simply by satisfying the spiritual master, one can achieve the supreme success in life. And in spite of executing all ritualistic performances, if one cannot satisfy the spiritual master, one has no access to spiritual perfection. Here the word akritatmanam is very significant. Atma means body, soul, or mind, and akritatma means the common man who cannot control the senses of mind. Because the common man is unable to control the senses of mind, it is his duty to seek the shelter of a great soul or a great devotee of the Lord and just try to please him. That will make his life perfect. A common man cannot rise to the topmost stage of spiritual perfection simply by following the rituals and religious principles. He has to take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master and work under his direction faithfully and sincerely, then he becomes perfect without a doubt. So these are all very important points Srila Prabhupada is writing. So Srila Prabhupada is quoting this conversation between Jad Bharat and Maharaj Raguna. So we will read one very important purport. Somebody open. 5th canto, 12th chapter, 14th verse. So here, Jad Bharat is telling Maharaj Raguna about his previous life. Read. Translation and purport. Take the mic. Yellow.
In a previous birth, I was known as Maharaj Bharata. I attained perfection by becoming completely detached from material activities through direct experience. And through indirect experience, I received understanding from the Vedas. I was fully engaged in the service of the Lord, but due to my misfortune, I became very affectionate to a small deer, so much so that I neglected my spiritual duties. Due to my deep affection for the deer, in my next life, I had to accept the body of the deer. Purport. The incident herein described is very significant. In a previous verse, it is stated, Vina Mahat Pada Rajo Abhisekam. One cannot attain perfection without smearing the dust from the lotus feet of an exalted devotee on his head. If one always follows the orders of the spiritual master, there is no question of falling down.
So here, Srila Prabhupada is explaining the perfect way of not falling down and the perfect way to fall down. Both he's telling. So the perfect way to not fall down is what? If one always follows the instructions of the spiritual master. Always. If one always follows, then there is no question of falling down. Next.
As soon as a foolish disciple tries to overtake his spiritual master and become ambitious to occupy his post, he immediately falls down.
Yes. So when foolish disciple tries to overtake his spiritual master and ambitious to occupy his post, that means what? That means what? He only wants to become guru. That means what? That means no guru. That means what? That means he makes his mind his guru. So basically, he doesn't want to accept instructions from anyone. That is the point. So he doesn't want to accept instructions. He thinks, I'm only the guru. Correct? He doesn't want to accept anybody else's authority, anybody else's instructions. He doesn't want to accept. So he thinks, I'm only the guru. Then what happens? He immediately falls down. That is the result. So he's thinking himself to be very smart and he's thinking, I'm only the guru. But what Prabhupada is saying? He's foolish disciple. This is foolishness. On the other hand, we find even Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Supreme Lord, how he approaches his guru. Guru more murkha deki korila shashan. Prabhupada very often quotes this. So he considered himself simply a fool before his spiritual master. That's the proper attitude. So if one doesn't have this attitude, then one thinks, oh, I know better than my guru. Then the result is he immediately falls down. I don't know if I told this incident before here, but of course these things keep happening. There was one center, of course the center is still there, and so this Grahastha devotee, he was sent over there for preaching, and he did nice preaching. So he developed a center there. some 200, 300 devotees, congregation devotees, Grihastha devotees. So it was a very nice center. And so, as the number of devotees increased, then he felt the need to construct a temple. So he consulted his authority, spiritual master, and so the spiritual master said, see, there, I told this before, huh? I told, no? So anyway, those who don't remember. So then he told him to wait for some time, but what he said? So of course he went 2-3 times, and then every time he got the same answer. Then he thought, hey, what is this? These people are not allowing me to grow. And the mind concocts so many funny things. These people are not giving me freedom. I have done so much. I have done so much of preaching and so many devotees, and now they're not giving me facilities. This is injustice. This is how the mind acts, correct? And the result was, so he thought, this ISKCON is useless. If I remain over here, I can't grow. And so he started looking for alternatives. And there are many people out there looking for victims, victims of frustrated ISKCON devotees. So many organizations, they thrive on frustrated ISKCON devotees. So then people are looking. So then he found one Radhakund Baba, and he invited his other people also. No, you're staying here, come, we'll leave. But of course, somehow most of those devotees were more intelligent. So they didn't go with him. Maybe some went. But in any case, so there was a great disturbance to the preaching in that area. Big disturbance. So then they had to send another preacher and then revive the whole thing. So, but then this is what happens. What? That's what Prabhupada is writing there. The foolish disciple, he tries to overtake his spiritual master and becomes ambitious to occupy his post. That means throw the guru aside. Now, who's the guru? I am the guru. Then whom to follow? Myself, my mind. I do what I like to do. And the result is, immediately falls down. That's the result. So these days these things are happening like this. So people are becoming a little over smart. No patience. This is one of the characteristics of Kali Yuga, Prabhupada writes. The Bhagavatam mentions, you can read. No patience. Because patience is quality of? Yes, Sattva Gun. But these days, no Sattva, lot of Rajas and Tamas. So no patience. Everything fast. And this is the result. So therefore, it's very important that one has the right attitude towards the bona fide spiritual master, towards spiritual authorities, maintain the right etiquettes. All this is very important. Read, continue.
Yasya prasadat bhagat prasado, yasya prasadat nagade kutopi. If the spiritual master is considered an ordinary man, the disciple surely loses his chance to advance further. Despite a very rigid life in devotional service, Bharat Maharaj did not consult a spiritual master. when he became overly attached to a deer. Consequently, he became strongly attached to the deer, and forgetting his spiritual routine, he fell down.
Yes. So here Prabhupada writes very clearly, the reason for Bharat Maharaj's falling down was he did not consult a spiritual master when he became attached to the deer. So the same points are being told over here also. Vina mat padorojo vishekam. Simply by satisfying the spiritual master, one can achieve the supreme success in life. And in spite of executing all ritualistic performances, if one cannot satisfy a spiritual master, one has no access to spiritual perfection. Okay, so the important point is spiritual success is not based on one's own endeavors. Not how much austerity I do, how much Shastra I study, how many verses I learn. It's not based on one's own endeavors. Ultimately, all those endeavors should lead to what? Yes, pleasing Guru and Krishna. So if one does many things, but if they're against the wishes of Guru and Krishna, what's the use? No use. But on the other hand, there could be some simple devotee like the South Indian Brahmana. He was illiterate. But what was his greatest qualification? Yes, he followed the instruction of spiritual master, even though it was very difficult. He was illiterate. Guru gave him instruction to read Bhagavad Gita. Everyone is making fun of him. Did he give up? No. Result was? So he himself had full realization of Krishna, and then Krishna himself in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came. That was the result. And of course, there are so many examples of Srila Prabhupada's disciples also. May not be very academically qualified or having any other qualification, but because they sincerely followed the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, then they became purified and achieved great spiritual success. So therefore, we have to know these are all very important principles. This is parampara system. One becomes a mahat by the grace of his mahat spiritual master. And the last sentence, he has to take shelter of bona fide spiritual master and work under his direction. How? Faithfully and sincerely. That's how one has to. So one has to have faith. One has to have faith in the instructions of the spiritual master. So now is a very often asked question, oh, now we hardly meet our spiritual master, we don't receive any instructions and what. So how do you understand?
We have his representatives, counselor and president, temple president.
Yes. So basically, that is what is called parampara. So parampara means whoever is our immediate authorities, so we need to follow them and please them. So the same mercy flows down in parampara. So therefore, whoever are the current spiritual authorities under whom we are serving, so we need to serve properly and please them. So that is how we receive the mercy. Then one can become perfect. So here, Swayambhu Manu is feeling very fortunate that he has got association of a saintly person like Karda Muni and got some instructions from him. So it's a great fortune to get association of saintly persons, receive instructions, receive guidance. So one should consider oneself very fortunate. So as we will see in the later, in the 4th canto, when Prithu Maharaj meets the 4 Kumaras, there also we'll find how Prithu Maharaj thinks himself so fortunate to meet the 4 Kumaras. So this association is very important. And so if one gets good association, one should consider oneself fortunate and take advantage of that association by receiving some good instructions and following. Okay, fine. So let's go ahead. 7. So again the same word, dishtya. Dishtya tvayānusishtoham kritaschano graho mahan apavrite kannarandrer jushta dishtyo shatirgirha. Who's reading?
I have fortunately been instructed by you, and thus great favor has been bestowed upon me. I thank God that I have listened with open ears to your pure words.
Right. So again, dishtya. So here Prabhupada translating dishtya as luckily. Previously he said by good fortune. So here he says luckily, same thing. So dishtya tvaya anushishta. Anushishta I'm very fortunate to have been instructed by you. This is your anugraha, this is your favor. And he's considering himself very fortunate. Again, the word dishtya comes, dishtya. By good fortune, apavate kannarandhrei jushta. I have received those instructions with open ears. Open ears. What does it mean? Open ears. Ears are always open. So what does it mean?
Heart.
Huh?
Open heart.
So what is open heart? Open heart surgery.
Willing to listen.
Right. So willingness to hear without reservations. Without reservations. So not that one has doubts, one is thinking, why should I hear? Why should I follow? So not that type of attitude. But one is eager to hear and eager to follow. So that's open ears. Prabhupada is quoting from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. The first principle is to accept a bona fide spiritual master. First, the desiring candidate must find a bona fide spiritual master, and then he must very eagerly receive instructions. So that's the point of open ears. Eagerly receive instructions from him and execute them. This is reciprocal service. A bona fide spiritual master, saintly person always desires to elevate a common man who comes to him. Because everyone is under the delusion of Maya and is forgetful of his prime duty, Krishna consciousness, a saintly person always desires that everyone becomes a saintly person. It is the function of a saintly person to invoke Krishna consciousness in every forgetful common man. Manu said that since he was advised and instructed by Karda Muni, he was very much favored. He considered himself lucky to receive the message by oral reception. It is especially mentioned here that one should be very inquisitive to hear with open ears from the authorized source of the bona fide spiritual master. How is one to receive? One should receive the transcendental message by oral reception. The word karna randhrai means to the holes of the ears. The favor of the spiritual master, important statement. The favor of the spiritual master is not received through any other part of the body but the ears. So the main favor of the spiritual master is what? His instructions. That's the main favor, hearing his instructions. So therefore, we need to hear regularly the instructions. So therefore, especially for us, it's very important that we regularly hear Srila Prabhupada's instructions for all of us. Srila Prabhupada, as the founder Acharya, has given instructions for everyone within the society. So instructions are there both in the purports as well as in his lectures. And so therefore it's very important that we hear them. Similarly, hearing from our respective Diksha Gurus, that's also very important. Okay, so one needs to hear. That is how one receives the instructions. That's how one receives the mercy. This does not, however, mean that the spiritual master gives a particular type of mantra through years in exchange for some dollars. And if the man meditates on that, he achieves perfection, becomes God within 6 months. Such reception through the years is bogus. The real fact is that a bona fide spiritual master knows the nature of a particular man and what sort of duties he can perform in Krishna consciousness, and he instructs him in that way. He instructs him through the year, not privately, but publicly. You are fit for such and such work in Krishna consciousness, you can act in this way. And then Prabhupada is giving different examples, working in DT room, or editorial work, or preaching work, and so on. So there are different departments of activity in Krishna consciousness, and a spiritual master, knowing the particular ability of a particular man, trains him in such a way that his tendency to act, by his tendency to act, he becomes perfect. Bhagavad Gita makes it clear that one can attain the highest perfection of spiritual life simply by offering service according to his ability, just as Arjuna served Krishna by his ability in the military art. So similarly, different instructions can be given. So again, Prabhupada gives examples. Somebody could be artist or literary man. One has to receive the message of the spiritual master regarding how to act in one's capacity, for the spiritual master is expert in giving such instructions. Okay, so one receives instructions and then one has to follow. This combination, the instruction of the spiritual master and the faithful execution of the instruction by the disciple, makes the entire process perfect. Okay. So therefore, we receive so many instructions, we need to hear them attentively and try to follow. Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur describes in his explanation of the verse in Bhagavad Gita, Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, that one who wants to be certain to achieve spiritual success must take the instruction from the spiritual master as to what his particular function is. He should faithfully try to execute that particular instruction and should consider that his life and soul. The faithful execution of the instruction which he receives from the spiritual master is the only duty of a disciple, and that will bring him perfection. One should be very careful to receive the message from the spiritual master through the years and execute it faithfully. That will make one's life successful. And of course, the best example for this is Srila Prabhupada himself. Correct. He received just that one instruction, 1922, and he made that his life and soul. I told that pastime of Srila Prabhupada and his god brother Sridhar Maharaj. Okay. So this pastime is told by Shrutakirti Prabhu. So he tells that how in 1971, Srila Prabhupada came to India with his Western disciples, about 30 of them, in 1970, August of 1970. So somewhere in 1971, Srila Prabhupada went to Mayapur. That time we did not have anything. So he went along with Shrutakirti Prabhu, only both of them. And so Srila Prabhupada visited his godbrother's ashram. His godbrother, his own is Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj. So they were good friends. In fact, when Srila Prabhupada was staying in Calcutta as a grihastha, so Sridhar Maharaj was for some time staying on the first floor of his house. And in fact, Sridhar Maharaj was present when that tea or me pastime happened. When that pastime happened, and then Srila Prabhupada decided to leave. And so Srila Prabhupada, he left at night without telling anyone. And so Sridhar Maharaj was present in that house. And so the next morning, there was chaos in the house because they understood that Srila Prabhupada has left. Any case, so Sridhar Maharaj was a good friend of Srila Prabhupada. So now, Srila Prabhupada goes along with Shrutakirti Prabhu to meet him. And then Srila Prabhupada is telling him about his preaching, and he's saying, so now preaching is expanding in the West. There are so many devotees, books being distributed, temples. And so you please come. Srila Prabhupada is inviting him. You please come to the West and you also preach. We will provide you all facilities. And pointing to Shrutakirti Prabhu, he says, and this boy will become your servant. So Shrutakirti Prabhu is very surprised. What is this? Prabhupada wants to give me away? So in any case, Shrutakirti Prabhu was very shy to ask questions. So he didn't ask anything. But he's very surprised that how Srila Prabhupada wants to give everything to him. So now, years later, after Srila Prabhupada has departed from this world, so once Shrutakirti Prabhu and Harishori Prabhu met. So both have been personal servants of Srila Prabhupada for a long time. So when both of them met and they were discussing some pastimes of Srila Prabhupada, so Shrutakirti Prabhu tells this pastime to Harishori Prabhu. And then Harishori Prabhu says, I also had a similar experience in 1976. Now this was much later, 5 years later. So 1976, the movement has expanded even more. And at that time, so again, Srila Prabhupada tells Sridhar Maharaj, please come to the West, and Krishna consciousness spreading everywhere, so many books, so many devotees, and so please, we will give you all facilities, everything we'll give you, and this boy will become your servant. So, but Harishori Prabhu, Harishori Prabhu is a little more bold person. No? So he asked Srila Prabhupada. So Srila Prabhupada, now you single-handedly have spread this movement all over the world, written all the books and did everything. Why are you so interested in giving all the facilities to Sridhar Maharaj? So then Srila Prabhupada said, in 1936, what's the significance of 1936? So before Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur disappeared from this world, so once he told him, the Sridhar Maharaj, he's a very good preacher, but he's somewhat shy. So please encourage him. That's all. So because his Guru Maharaj said this much, he took it so seriously. He didn't think that, oh, my Guru Maharaj is making some casual remark. No, he took it so seriously, and therefore again and again he was trying to encourage Sridhar Maharaj and practically give all facilities to him. The point is how Srila Prabhupada took every instruction of his spiritual master so seriously. Even though apparently it must have been like a passing remark, but still Srila Prabhupada took it so seriously. And that is the reason why he became so successful. Because he took all the instructions of his spiritual master so seriously. And that's what Srila Prabhupada is writing here. What? The faithful execution of the instruction which he receives from the spiritual master is the only duty of a disciple, and that will bring him perfection. One should be very careful to receive the message from the spiritual master through the years and execute it faithfully. That will make one's life successful. And so therefore, for us as devotees of ISKCON, so for us it's very important that we know all the instructions that Srila Prabhupada has given us. Srila Prabhupada has given so many instructions within his purports, within his lectures, on so many different subject matters. Correct? So we need to study them properly and try to follow them. So if we don't even read Srila Prabhupada's books carefully, then where is the question of even knowing what are Srila Prabhupada's instructions? Then where is the question of following? Right? So therefore, these are all very important points if we want to actually make progress. Any questions? So these are all very special Prabhupada purports. You don't find such purports in the previous Acharya's commentaries. These are Srila Prabhupada's special realizations. And Srila Prabhupada is mercifully giving us his realizations by which we can make progress. I told you that pastime of Indradhan Maharaj? Indradhan Maharaj and the Prabhupada's suitcase? No? Okay, so His Holiness Indradhan Maharaj tells this pastime. So somewhere in 72 or 73, so Srila Prabhupada, along with his servant, secretary, and Indradhan Maharaj also was there. So these 3 or 4 devotees came from the US to London for the installation of Sri Sri Radha Londoneshwar. Very historical events in the history of Vaishnavism. First time in the Western world, Radha Krishna deities are being installed. So Srila Prabhupada came for that. And so Srila Prabhupada would carry a huge bag weighing approximately 35 kilos. So it carried, amongst other things, a big book containing all the commentaries of the previous acharyas. Some commentaries of some 10 acharyas. So he carried this big book, and that's how Srila Prabhupada was translating and giving purports based on those commentaries. So anyways, so this bag did not come. So then somebody had to wait. So they said it'll come in some time. So somebody had to wait to get the bag. So Srila Prabhupada was looking around, who will wait? Indra Maharaj says he was hiding behind a pillar so that Prabhupada doesn't see him. But what to do? Srila Prabhupada saw him and said, Indradumna can wait. So now what to do? He didn't like it, but Guru's instruction. So he had to wait. And the bag came after long 2 hours. And of course, Srila Prabhupada had left. And so when the bag came after 2 hours, Indra Maharaj was really frustrated because he knew that the program must have ended by now. And so Srila Prabhupada's lecture and all the celebration, everything finished. And he was hoping that at least some prasadam will be there, because it was a very special feast cooked by Yamuna Mataji, world famous cook at that time. So anyways, he was very frustrated. He put the big bag on the in a taxi, and then he went to the temple. And so he reached the temple. Of course, the program was all finished. And so he was hoping to get some prasadam. He went to the brahmachari ashram and he saw that all the brahmacharis were lying down on the left side. And he asked them, so any prasad remaining? They said, sorry. So he was really very frustrated and he was carrying this huge bag. There was no lift. And Prabhupada's room was on the top floor, maybe 3rd, 4th floor, whatever. So So therefore he could not lift it, so he was dragging it up the stairs. Something is too heavy, what to do? Drag it. So he's dragging it up the stairs. So he was walking behind and he's dragging it. And so he manages to go reach the top, Prabhupada's room. And so then he's still dragging it inside Prabhupada's room. So he's not seeing what is behind. So then Prabhupada's personal servant, Nandakumar Prabhu, he immediately says, stop! See who's behind. So then he turned around and saw behind there was Srila Prabhupada standing. He just had a massage and with sandalwood oil, and it was this beautiful fragrance of sandalwood oil, and Srila Prabhupada was glowing. So in any case, he immediately offered his obeisances to Srila Prabhupada, and just as he was getting up, Srila Prabhupada lovingly but firmly slapped him on the back, and he said something very important for all of us. So he said, so much inconvenience in this material world. But when I take you to the spiritual worlds, then everything will become easy and sublime. So that was the blessing he got for going through that austerity of doing that service. So the point is that if one goes through the austerity of rendering services for the spiritual master, even though they may be difficult, but if one does that, then one gets blessings. One gets blessings. So that is what Srila Prabhupada is writing here. And so Swayambhu Manu is feeling very fortunate that he received instructions from Kardam Muni, and he's also feeling fortunate that he has listened to those instructions. Okay. So text 8. Sabhavan Dhuitra Sneha Pariklishtatmano Mama Shrotum Arhasi Dinasya Shravitam Kripayamune. Okay, read.
Guruji, 1 minute. You can read. I'll read next one, Guruji.
O great sage, graciously be pleased to listen to the prayer of my humble self, for my mind is troubled by affection for my daughter.
Okay, so now he is revealing the real reason for his coming. And so he's saying that mind is troubled by affection for my daughter. So again, Prabhupada writes, when a disciple is perfectly in consonance with the spiritual master, having received his message and executed perfectly and sincerely, he has a right to ask a particular favor from the spiritual master. So when can one ask favor? Yes. Without rendering service, what right one has to ask favor? So one has to do some service, no? Then one can ask some favor. So then he has a right. Generally, a pure devotee of the Lord or a pure disciple of a bona fide spiritual master does not ask any favor, either from the Lord or the spiritual master. But even if there is need to ask a favor from the spiritual master, one cannot ask that favor without satisfying him fully. So first of all, one has to satisfy the spiritual master fully. Then one can ask some favor if at all he wants. So Swayambhu Manu wanted to disclose his mind regarding the function he wanted to execute due to the affection for his daughter. Okay, text 9. Priyavratto tanapado swaseyam duhita mama anvichati patim yuktam vaya shila gunadibi. Okay, so
my daughter is the sister of Priyavrata and Uttanapad. She is seeking a suitable husband in terms of age, character, and good qualities.
Right. So now he is telling the good qualities of his daughter. So what are the good qualities? She is sister of Priyavrata and Uttanapad. And she is seeking husband who in terms of Vaya, Shila, Guna, Adibi. Age, character, good qualities. So those are the criteria for marriage. So there is no mention about money, bank balance, beauty, physical beauty, nothing of that. Main thing is what? Character and good qualities. That's the main thing. So Prabhupada is explaining that the purpose of Manu's introducing his daughter as the sister of Priyavrata and Uttamapa, two great kings, was to convince the sage that the girl came from a great family. And she expressed her desire for a suitable husband corresponding to her character, age, and quality. And the father himself, out of affection for his daughter, took charge of finding such a husband. Okay, 10. Yada tu bhavata shila shruta rupa vayogunan ashruno naradadesha tvaya sit kritanishaya.
The moment she heard from the sage, Narada, of your noble character, learning, beautiful appearance, youth, and other virtues, she fixed her mind upon you.
So, Devati has heard about Kardama from Narada Muni. So, just like, yes, Rukmini also, she heard about Krishna from, yes, Narada Muni. So, this is how Devati also heard. So, here Prabhupada writes a very beautiful statement. He says, hearing from an authority is a better experience than gaining personal understanding. Hearing from an authority is better experience than gaining personal understanding. Some of Srila Prabhupada's statements are worth memorizing. So somebody wants to explain the statement? Hearing,
personal experiences might be motivated by mode of passion and ignorance, but somebody like Narad Muni will be telling out of goodness, and also not due to our own personal attachment. Like in case of marriage here, most of the people go on externals only. They like to see the external appearance and all, and then they modify the character of a person to convince the parents that his character is also good after the initial physical attachment. But Narad Muni is genuinely glorifying the actual qualities without attachments.
Okay, fine. So you're referring to the specific instant of Narada and Devati and marriage, but this statement is a general statement. It's not referring to any particular incident. This is a general statement, isn't it? Hearing from an authority is a better experience than gaining personal understanding. It's not contextual. The statement is not contextual. It's a general principle.
Yes, very like Shabda Praman is better than Pratiksha Praman. That in terms, Shabda Praman is better than Pratiksha Praman.
Okay, fine. Okay, good point.
That's our whole philosophy.
Yes.
Just like there are so many medical books available in the markets, we can learn and understand, but when we go to medical college and hear from the medical professionals, we have a better experience.
Correct. Okay, good example. Prabhupada does give this example.
Realized knowledge.
Yes, so that's realized knowledge. Yes. So one hears from authority, then because if one tries to learn on one's own, then that could be defective because one is perceiving everything, trying to understand everything through one's defective senses. So therefore that understanding could be defective. But when one hears from authority who is perfect, who is receiving from the perfect source, then that is perfect. So therefore this, yes, so it's basically Shabda Brahma. So therefore that hearing from an authority is given much more preference to trying to understand things by one's own personal understanding. And yes, and that also implies that one hears and one tries to apply and one pleases the superior authority, then one actually gets realization, then one gets realized knowledge. And that's how that's a much better experience than gaining personal understanding. So she heard from Narad Muni. Okay, text 11. Tat praticha dvijagre mam Shraddhayo paritam maya sarvatmanano rupam te grihamedeshu karmusu.
Please accept her, O chief of Brahmanas, for I offer her with a faith, and she is in every respect fit to be your wife, and take charge of your husband's household duties.
Okay, so here Swayambhu Manu is telling about the good qualities of his daughter, and so therefore is requesting Karda Muni to accept her because she is fit to be your wife. Prabhupada writes, Sarvatma no rupam. The purport is that a wife should not only be equal to her husband in age, character, and qualities, must be helpful to him in his household duties. The household duty of a man is not to satisfy sense gratification, but to remain with the wife and children and at the same time attain advancement in spiritual life. So towards the end, Prabhupada writes, for a grihastha, qualified wife is an assistant in every respect for advancement in spiritual activities. It's the duty of the wife to take charge of household affairs and not to compete with the husband. So just like we were reading that purport, disciple trying to compete with spiritual master. Correct? The same principle. So similarly, wife should not try to compete with the husband. A wife is meant to help, but she cannot help her as a husband unless he is completely equal to her in age, character, and quality. So now Swayambhu Manu is trying to sort of inspire, encourage Karda Muni to accept the offer. And therefore he's speaking some 2 verses in that context. Text 12. Udyatasya hi kamasya prativado na shasyate api nirmukta sangasya kamaraktasya kimpunaha.
To deny an offering that has come up of itself is not condemnable, even for one absolutely free from all attachments, much less one addicted to sensual pleasure.
So here he is saying that, see, this offer has come out of its own accord. So to deny such an offering is not good. So something which has come out of its own accord, to deny it is not good. So to deny an offering that has come of itself is not commendable. Even though somebody could be totally free from all attachment and addiction to sensual pleasure. So as Prabhupada writes, he indirectly convinced Karda Muni, you desire a suitable wife like my daughter, and she's now present before you. You should not reject the fulfillment of your prayer. You should accept my daughter. 13. Ya udyatam manadritya kinasham abhiyachate kshiyate tad yashasvitam manaschavagyaya hataha.
One who rejects an offering that comes of his own accord, but later begs a boon from a miser, thus loses his widespread reputation, and thus his pride is humbled by the neglectful behavior of the others.
So basically what he's saying, if you neglect this offer has come out of his own accord. If you neglect this, then maybe in the future you want to marry, you'll have to go begging somewhere else. And that is not very respectable. As Prabhupada writes, the general procedure of Vedic marriage is that father offers his daughter to a suitable boy. That's very respectable marriage. Boy should not go to the girl's father and ask for the hand of his daughter in marriage. That is considered to be humbling one's respectful position. So that's what he's saying. Now this offer has come of its own accord. If you don't accept this, then you'll have to go begging. So that is not very good for you. That won't be good reputation. And the last sentence of the purport, therefore in offering one's daughter to a person, the culture and the quality are counted as prominent, not wealth or any other material considerations. Okay, so those should be the most important considerations. Okay, text 14. Aham tva shrunavam vidvan vivahartam samudyatam atastvam upakurvana prattam pratigrihana me.
Swayambhu Manu continued, "O wise man, I heard that you were prepared to marry. Please accept her hand, which is being offered to you by me, since you have not taken a vow of perpetual celibacy."
Okay, so now Swayambhu Manu is saying that yes, so this was already your desire. It was your desire to get married. So he's saying, I've heard that you were anyways prepared to get married, and now she's coming out of her own accord. So, and besides, you have not taken a vow of perpetual celibacy. So you anyways wanted to get married. So therefore, you accept my daughter. Okay, so this is what Swayambhu Manu told Kardamuni. Okay, so then from the next verse, Kardamuni begins to speak. And then basically accepts Devhuti. One second. What's that?
That personal understanding is better than hearing from the authority.
No, hearing from authority is better than
personal understanding. So when we read Prabhupada books, that is hearing from authority or that is personal understanding?
No, so we are accepting as it is. We are not interpreting Prabhupada's words, right?
So, for example, one devotee says that I don't like to hear lectures, but I just like to hear, I read only Prabhupada books and I understand and I get many realization by reading books, but he don't attend classes. So, in that case, he is giving understanding from authority or his personal understanding?
Of course, Srila Prabhupada's books are definitely authoritative. And even reading Prabhupada's books is as good as hearing from Srila Prabhupada, because these are Prabhupada's dictated words, no? So it's as good as hearing from Srila Prabhupada. So nothing wrong with that. But still one should hear, because that's also Prabhupada's instruction. Prabhupada wanted us to hear Bhagavatam class every day, no? So therefore one should hear Bhagavatam class every day, because that's also, of course, Prabhupada wanted Bhagavatam class morning, Bhagavad Gita class evening. So 2 classes every day one is supposed to hear. So, and moreover, Srila Prabhupada, of course, he writes this in 1st canto, 1st chapter, 6th verse. 6th verse, right? Yes, 6th verse. Prabhupada writes there, what he writes? Hearing and explaining is more important than reading. You can check if you want.
116.
So why? Because when somebody explains, then we hear somebody is explaining, then it becomes a little more clear, isn't it? We may read, but that same subject matter, if somebody explains, then it becomes easier to understand. Correct? So therefore, hearing is also very important. So just like Srila Prabhupada's lectures, in his lectures he makes things even more easy, isn't it, for one to understand. Okay?
Kardama Muni was foretold by Vishnu that Swambhu Manu will come and offer his daughter. So my question is, when Swambhu is coming, why is Kardamuni asking, what can we do for why we have come? And some etiquette, some formality is there, or is he already knew that this is the will of the Lord?
So there was one statement here. This is which verse? Huh? Where
last chapter, last.
Okay. Yes, the last verse of the previous chapter, he is so Kardamuni, he glorifies Swambhu Manu, and then at the end he is asking, so why have you come here? So in one sense he already knows. So therefore Vishwanath Chakravarti says, though I know in general why you have come, I still ask why you come to my leaf hut. So see, he knows, but still, unless the person tells, it's not confirmed. Na? See, I may assume something. So I may assume that this Swambhu Manu is because, of course, the Lord has already predicted. But still, unless that person actually tells, how can I know? It'll be assumption, no? Of course, in this case, it's definitely right. But still, the person has to tell, no, why he has come. Otherwise, how can I just assume? So that's what he's saying. Though I know in general why you have come, I still ask why you have come. You will not become successful in quelling the sinful by coming. I accept the reason maths. Anyway, so that's the point.
Also, Lord speaks, and with the Swambhu Manu also saying that Lord has told me.
Correct. Yes, ultimately it's arranged by the Lord. Correct. That's correct. The Lord himself has arranged. ठीक है? Any other question? Announcement क्या है?
Hare Krishna, there is a message by His Grace Rukmini Vallabh Prabhu and His Grace Madhav Charan Prabhu that Radhesham Prabhu has said strictly that all the NVCC brahmacharis should attend the class physically in person. Whenever Bhakti Vaibhav class is there, all the NVCC brahmacharis, they are expected to physically attend compulsorily. Only exception is in case of emergencies related to parents or health, not services. You need to adjust your services and should be compulsory present here. Okay. Hare Krishna.
Correct. That was policy made actually. Okay, fine. So thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Sumit Gaur Bhaktavand ki jai. Thank you very much. So we'll continue again tomorrow. So tomorrow timing?
Tomorrow 10:45 as usual.
10:45 to 2.
2.
Yes. Good. Hare Krishna.